What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Bronx Pinstripes show. It's 3 sweeps in a row, 9-game win streak we've got cooking right now going into Toronto. We said it after going into that first Baltimore series. The Yankees need to take care of business in this sort of easy schedule part before they go to Toronto, because we know Toronto's going to hang around all year. And other than that first Baltimore series, they've done exactly that. 9-game win streak, best record in baseball, best run differential in the American League. Hot going into Toronto.
Very hot, very hot. Toronto also playing well, but that's what you expect. So the Yankees are taking care of business exactly like you said. This is the thing. This is probably one of the biggest points of the season. I know we've put a microscope on Baltimore as, kind of doubly important because of the AL East and, how that division is decided. A lot of it might be against Baltimore, but when you go to Kansas City, these are the games that you do need to take advantage of. And the fact that they are going in, doing their job, whether they are internally have a sense of urgency or whatever it is, they're doing it. And even when they fall down, they're getting back up in game, not after, in game. It's happening in real time. And I love to see it. So I'm very excited for this Toronto series because the guys are clicking. Pitching staff is freaking playing very well. It's just going to be a fun series.
Exactly. I tweeted out after the win on Sunday that the team feels different. If you want an example of why the team feels different, it's because I thought they played a very sloppy game on Sunday. Severino didn't have it. The defense, which has been fantastic during the win streak, Donaldson makes that error in the third inning. Kansas City takes the lead. That didn't get to them. They still came back and they clawed, and they also still left a ton of runners on base. Like, things did not go their way in that game, and they still won it. I understand Kansas City is not a playoff caliber team. It doesn't matter. They lost plenty of games last season to non-playoff teams because they just played like crap, and they weren't good enough to win games in which they didn't play well. Now, I understand it's only May 2nd. I like what I'm seeing, and that's what we're gonna call it like we see it, right? Like last year we didn't like what we saw, so we pointed that out. Right now I like what I see.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard not to. They're doing those things. You're right. Yesterday was a good example of how this team has been just doing the right thing and sticking with a mindset that is keeping them in games. And more importantly, it's saying the same thing, but it's saying it differently. Not letting them get out of games. Not giving up on games. Not claiming defeat when things don't go your right way. They had opportunities yesterday in multiple innings with runners on. They were getting on with no outs, and they didn't convert. And then they just kept grinding, kept getting guys on base, and then good things happen. And anytime I see DJ LeMahieu knock in IKF or IKF knock in LeMahieu, which would be a difficult task given their places in the lineup, it's so sexy to me. I love seeing it. It's like the great, like forget your chicks dig the long ball.
You had to make it sexual.
No more chicks dig the long ball. Chicks dig, and everybody digs the 2-out RBI single. With multiple guys on base. It's so beautiful seeing that connect. Because you know why? Not only is it taking advantage of an opportunity with 2 outs, but at the same time, it is a dagger to the other team. When you have 2 outs, runner on, knowing what this team is and how dependent they have been on the home run. Oh, by the way, also leading the league in home runs too, which is crazy. You can do both things, but you get that 2-out. That 2-out knock to tie the game, to get within 1, to take a lead. Like, that is a backbreaker for the other side. So I love seeing that because I feel like on the other side of the team, like those hurt more because you're just trying to get a guy out and he's just putting the ball in play and good things are happening. So this team's fun to watch right now.
You said, they can do both things. They can hit with runners on base. They can get base hits, but they can also hit home runs. That's the reason the Astros have been so good for the last few years, because they do both on the offensive side. Yeah, they hit a lot of home runs, but they don't strike out a lot, and they just get a lot of base hits. And I'm not even trying to allude to any cheating scandals. No, they're just good hitters, and that's why they've been one of the best teams in baseball since 2017. And that's what we're watching from the Yankees offense on this win streak.
The beautiful thing about that too is if you can if you can get into a rhythm as a team, and they've already started this by putting the right people, the right players in the situation. But this is the type of stuff that translates into the postseason. You're not so dependent on the home run, but the home run's still coming. You have to pitch differently to different guys because they have different skill sets at the plate. And when you have that type of dynamic, a pitching staff or a starting pitcher, especially in the playoffs, when you're facing a number 1 or a 2, maybe a 3, but usually a 1 or a 2, these guys they have to pitch differently. They have to change up their repertoire to pitch to a lineup that's more flexible, that's more dynamic, that can hurt you in different ways. And when you have that, like, that's just another mental battle that the other team has to overcome. Whereas you look at last year, a pitcher just has to stay on his game, knows exactly how to attack practically the entire lineup. And that's just not the case anymore. It gives you something different. Not only that, starting pitchers, but then when you start making changes and you're getting into your bullpen, managers got to think a hell of a lot more now about how to attack this lineup.
In the bullpen, the Yankees bullpen was phenomenal yet again on Sunday. That's the reason why the offense was able to come back without even getting necessarily the bases clearing double or anything like that. Like, even when Judge was up with bases loaded, he's got the check swinging bunt.
Right.
Like, that's how they scored the run. So it wasn't pretty. I know he hit the home runs as well. Talk about Judge in a second. But the bullpen, the Yankees bullpen, after Severino wasn't very good, the bullpen just shut things down. Like, Clark Schmidt coming in again out of relief, and he was sent down. But then go right to Michael King, who continues to be elite in the bullpen. And so the bullpen's going to lock it down, and it gives the offense a chance to where they don't even have to necessarily be good with runners on base. They just need to do 1 or 2 things okay, and it's enough to win a game. And in this win streak, they've had games like that. But they've also had games where they've blown it out from the very beginning, or they've blown it out towards the end of the game, like on Friday night, where it was a close game, and then they get a bunch of hits late to just seal the victory. So they've had those multiple kinds of wins throughout this streak.
The last episode we were talking about Michael King and the type of role, and I was referring to starting pitchers occasionally not having their best stuff and having him to come in. That's exactly what happened yesterday, Sunday, with Severino. I give him a lot of credit. Look, man, I got to give Boone credit too. He let him work through it. He came back out. He came back out for, was it the 5th inning, I think? And a lot of people didn't think that he would come back out. But again, we're, early May, early in the season. You got to let your pitchers work through some of these things. They have to work through some of these things. If you're so quick to the trigger, and I know there's so many people right now that when they watch baseball or watch this team, they have like this playoff mindset where you have to, at any sign of trouble, because of the way that the game is and how good your bullpen is, you have to go to them when there is a crux in the game. But early in the season, I'm of the opinion, even during the meat of the season, you got to let your starting pitchers continue to work through things because they have to build up confidence. They do have to still continue to build up arm strength, and you just can't go to the bullpen that easily all the time. And Severino is a guy that has shown that he can have 1, maybe even 2, like bad, mediocre innings, and then still come back out and shut down a team because his arm feels good. So he's got that ability, and he's done it before, and he did it this last time. But Michael King came in. After Clark Schmidt, but those 2 guys are pretty interchangeable in the sense that they can step in and throw 2 innings, 3 innings if need be. And that is such an important fail-safe to have. It's something so reliable to go back to, even if one of your guys is not having a good day. It speaks volumes to how they've developed this bullpen and the pitching staff in general.
I think it's about picking your spots when you let your starters maybe push it a little bit. And I thought Boone picked a good spot there on Sunday. You're already on an 8-game win streak. I'm not saying you're trying to punt Sunday's game, but you are facing the Royals, okay? And you've got the Blue Jays coming up, which is a far more difficult team and important series without an off day before you fly to Toronto. So even if you can get 1 less inning out of your bullpen, that could have an impact on Monday's game, which I care about winning a hell of a lot more than I cared about winning Sunday's game.
Absolutely. And you also knew, there's a roster game to play as well, because if Schmidt came in and threw whatever he did, that he was going to get optioned and they have another opportunity for potentially another arm, whatnot. Look, we're in May 2nd right now recording this. Like, I'm tip of the cap to Aaron Boone so far. I think he's done a really good job, for real. Like, as much as we shit on this guy, got to give him some praise here because the way that he's managed the lineup, the way that he's managed the guys in the field. I know we'll talk about Stanton playing in the field multiple days in a row.
Started in the field 4 out of 5 games.
Yeah. So he's making adjustments in real time. He seemingly is pulling the right strings so far with what he's doing, and got to give him credit for that because he's got the pulse right now.
This goes back to the question, is it the manager or is it the players? Like, everyone was shitting all over Boone, us included. I mean, me specifically, over the past couple of years. And everyone's saying, well, it's the players on the field. It's the players on the field. They need to perform. I never denied that. But when the players are performing, the manager looks good. Like, isn't it funny how that works out? So have you noticed enough in Boone's managing style that's changed where you're saying tip of the cap? Or do you think it's a product of, well, the team is winning, they're in first place, so the manager's obviously going to look good?
He's got a different situation this year in the sense that he's got 10 starters on any given day and 9 spots to fill, essentially. And so I think he's managed that very well. Yes, of course, the team playing well helps everything. Every single thing you can possibly think of that happens in baseball. If you're playing well and winning, it helps no matter what. But that said, I think he's managed the pitching staff very well. He's managed the guys playing in the field well. And, you know, everybody's getting their at-bats. They're doing what they need to do. And it's translating into positive things. So whether that's, you know, Boone reacting to what's happening here or Boone putting guys in positions to win, either way, that's his job, is to do the things that he feels are correct in that moment to put his guys in a position. So yeah, I think it's a little of both.
When the players perform on the field, the manager's decisions obviously look good, but there are other things, and you pointed to like the lineup decisions. Like, those are just Boone.
He has a lot of decisions to make with this team on a daily basis. He does.
Yeah. And it's not only him making the decisions, it's him and his coaches and probably heavy influence from the front office, which fine. But the decisions have been.
I don't think the front office is mixing in on a day to day. I mean, I know you believe that. I don't think so. No, they got too many. They have too many managers now in the room, in the dugout, in the clubhouse.
I mean, everything we've heard from people in the know say that the front office analytics department provides Boone and his coaches with information. Maybe sometimes to try and influence a decision, like we saw that, which is why Devi Garcia was the opener in Game 2 of an ALDS series.
You're saying analytics department. I'm not considering them front office.
What do you mean?
They're
okay,
you know,
when I say front office, I don't only mean Brian Cashman. I mean,
well, that's what it sounds like. When you say front office, to me, it sounds like person. Okay. It sounds like authoritative figures in the Yankees regime. That's what that sounds like.
I don't think there's any organization in baseball that doesn't have any influence from quote unquote front office departments, whether you want to call that analytics or whatever.
I think analytics are now almost part of coaching, the coaching staff, essentially.
Right. Okay, fine. So there's Boone and his in dugout coaches, and then there's analytics department in the bowels of Yankees.
And this is cross-functional. They're getting information from the analytics people to make decisions. But yes, they're informing the coaches to make these decisions. But at the end of the day,
training staff too.
Sure.
Training staff also has a big. And I think that's
you're right.
Because they're load management, whatever word you want to call it, they're tracking how many steps Giancarlo Stanton takes in the outfield every day, and like all this stuff factors in there. They're impacting why Aaron Judge gets a day off in Kansas City, you know, ahead of the Toronto series, which we hope he plays all 3 games on the turf. So that's the third piece of the decision tree.
I just wanted to clarify, because the way that you're saying it sounds like there's a wall between the two, and there's like, you know, a messenger delivering, you know, front office information to the coaching staff. I think everybody, when you're with the analytics piece, like, they're very much interfused with the day to day of what the coaching staff is reviewing and seeing, and then the decisions are being made from the coaching staff with the influence of whomever is there. Yes,
it's probably daily meetings.
Oh, for sure.
Where
if not a daily memo.
It's daily memo followed by a conference call where they discuss all of these things for the upcoming game and upcoming series, maybe upcoming week, so you can plan ahead. It's like, okay, we want to make sure that Judge gets an off day in the couple days leading up to the Toronto series or something like that.
Exactly, and I think that's just part of their day-to-day routine now. So I'm fine with that. That's good. They're working together to make decisions, and that's how they should do it. There's nobody should be mandating one thing, but at the end of the day, Aaron Boone and his coaching staff are the ones making the final call. I do believe that.
The calendar turned to May. Aaron Judge hit the 2 bombs yesterday. His OPS is over 1,000, and his OPS plus is 198, which means roughly he's been 2x the offensive. 2 times better than the average offensive player in the league this year. So, through about a month of baseball, his bet on himself in a contract year seems to be working out quite nice for Aaron Judge.
Yeah, he played pretty well last year too. So, it's he's betting on himself to, I guess, double back again.
Duplicate his 2021. That's
it's
what
just,
he's
I
betting
know,
on
but
himself.
really, does anybody doubt that he could duplicate that if he's on the field? I don't think anybody doubted that. I don't think anybody.
But that's the big thing. You have to stay on the field, and you also have to put up the numbers. If you're going to be a 8-year contract player worth $36 million AAV, you need to play almost every day, and you need to put up MVP caliber numbers.
That's my point, though, is I don't think anybody's doubting Judge's ability to perform when he's on the field. So by him, betting on himself and it's going well so far, yeah, like he's still on the field because I think everybody expects him to play well when he's there. So this is a long bet for him because he's got to stay healthy.
5 months to go.
Yeah, but I mean, when he's healthy, I think everybody expects him to perform.
But there's a scenario in which he got off to a slow start, and then everyone's starting to say, oh, maybe the contract is getting into his head. Maybe it's a distraction. Maybe he should have just signed so he didn't have to worry about it. So if he, instead of hitting what he is, 1,000 OPS, 198 OPS plus, if he had a 102 OPS plus and he was basically league average, people might be saying something else right now, and even if he is on the field.
Sure. It may be a little bit more stressful for him, but yeah, at the end of the day, he's got to stay on the field.
And the series, the Kansas City series, one of those things. It's like, I think back to the last couple seasons, and the Yankees actually surprisingly did play decently well against non-AL East inferior opponents. However, it still didn't feel like that. Like if you look at their record, they took care of business against the Kansas City Royals and the Los Angeles Angels type teams that are not good.
Los Angeles Angels might not be in that category anymore, but keep going.
Well, the last couple years, the Angels of the last couple of years, fine. The Twins, they were always there, but the Twins are also good this year too. Twins were always the team that the Yankees would beat up on whenever they needed something good to happen. Oh, when are the Twins coming to town?
Very different scenario. We own Minnesota Twins, so
right. So, but like it's one of these weekend series. It's like, okay, we know everyone's just looking forward to the Toronto series. That was sort of my mindset going into it because I am very pumped for this Toronto series.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. This is, I mean, rubber meets the road. Give me any cliche that fits the bill here. It's going to be exciting. These are right now the top 2 teams in the AL East. Tampa still going to be there, but yeah, these guys are hungry. You know damn well that Toronto's circling it as well. This is something that, it's been a very long time since the Yankees have played in Toronto. That's another element that is going to be, I'm sure everybody's excited for it because there's a level of like anticipation and hype and just the feeling of a big game. I would imagine the place is going to be rocking and packed. They're going to be excited for them to get back there. And for the Yankees to have a in-division opponent like the Yankees come into town. It's not Buffalo. It's not Florida. It's Toronto.
Dunedin.
It's back in the
Dunedin. We ain't in Buffalo anymore.
Yeah. No more Dunedin. So this is the opportunity for the fans to really get involved and back into the rivalry as well, which is exciting. Again, as a fan, I love it. I like the high intensity, the high tension games against good opponents, and this is a young, hungry team.
And can I just say, I'm really happy that we don't have to spend 45 minutes talking about why Aaron Judge and Anthony Rizzo aren't going to be playing in this series.
Yeah, it's nice. I'm glad everybody
because the Red Sox had to deal with that earlier in the season. Players weren't able to play. So the Red Sox, who have not been off to a good start this year, have had to deal with that sort of shit. And that kind of thing can can ruin a team, I think.
I don't think it could ruin a team. I think it can affect a team, sure, a little bit, but yeah,
I don't know if it's a
which is
distraction.
great.
Say Aaron Judge and Anthony Rizzo didn't get vaccinated and were not able to play this week. I think that is a massive distraction for this team.
It is a distraction. It's not a good thing. I mean, we saw what happened if you're going to a different sport in the NBA, and look what happened with Kyrie, that entire thing. I mean, that was elongated scenario with him not being able to play in home games, but yeah, it's a huge distraction. There's no doubt. It would be less of a distraction with a 3-game set, but yeah, I hear you.
Saturday, Garrett Cole threw to Trevino yet again. So second time in a row. I think one time, the first time, it was test. All right, let's test it out, see how it goes. Second time, this is a pattern forming. If Trevino catches for a third time, I think we declare a new personal catcher.
You can declare your personal catcher all you want. I know you like living in misery with your personal catcher scenario because you love to hate it.
I don't even necessarily care as much this year because Higgy, Trevino, like, what does it matter?
No, you go with the hot guy at that point. Like, we know he can throw to Higgy. This is such a non-issue at all. Of course, he's going to throw to the guy. I took the other side of it just to take the other side of it last time. We're like, who's going to show up? But I don't care at all. I really don't. It doesn't matter. They both can clearly catch him. Cole has a rapport with both guys. You need 3 to be a pattern, to be honest. Like 2 is not a pattern. It's not a pattern. 3,
I think
you start becoming a pattern because then you become
2.
repeatable. Hasn't become repeatable totally yet.
So you're saying 3 is a pattern, then 4 is a personal catcher? At what point are you declaring personal catcher?
11.
11?
Yeah.
11. Okay. Mm-hmm. Well, Garrett Cole, he threw to Trevino yet again. He was good again. He got a few strikeouts looking, which I thought was interesting, and also on his fastball in big spots with runners on. So I don't know if that's a product of maybe the Royals hitters sitting on something off speed and not getting it, because you don't normally see strikeouts looking in 2-strike counts with guys on base and a fastball. Like, usually you're ready to hit the fastball. You're going to at least pull the trigger. But he was able to get that, which I don't know. Maybe he was just keeping the Royals hitters off balance.
Well, that, and also, what's interesting is if they're looking at Cole's starts from the year too, that can be probably a little confusing or throw you off a little bit if you start to see, because he wasn't able to control that fastball early days.
But he was working backwards early in the season.
Yeah, so if they're looking at that,
speed early, fastballs late.
And if they're looking at that at all as as a pattern, that's a dangerous pattern to look in, because you just look at the rest of his career and you won't see that. But clearly they were not looking at the fastball, or they were, let's make him dot that fastball and prove that he can control the zone. And whoops, it didn't work.
I just thought of something. So you know how Tom Brady's favorite receiver is the open receiver? Garrett Cole's favorite catcher is the backup catcher.
Who's the backup catcher?
Well, in this case, it's Trevino.
Maybe. He's just part of the platoon. I would argue that there's no starting catcher.
Was the starting catcher. He started opening day. The same way Gary Sanchez was the starting catcher last year. Come on. Everyone knows who starts on opening day is the starting catcher.
IKF is the backup catcher.
He's the third string catcher.
Yeah. Nice to have.
So whenever Rortvedt is ready to come back, Garrett Cole's going to be all about them biceps.
I don't even know how Rortvedt gets on this team, to be honest, unless someone gets hurt. What's the point of that? Yeah. There's literally no point in that. Like that,
Trevino has been very good.
Yeah.
And actually, Trevino, in my eyes, has been a lot better defensively than Higgy. I think Higgy's had some lazy moments where he's let some pass balls go by, and I think Trevino has been rock solid behind the plate. There's no way you take him off this roster if he's healthy.
Oh, hell no. No. The tandem of the two of those guys is exactly what this team needs. I mean, look no further than how they're playing. Look no further than how this pitching staff is going. You do not disrupt that. You just don't. You don't do it. The fact that they're leading, or as of the 20th, they were leading in fielding percentage. You don't mess with things like that. Like that's a beautiful stat, because that means what they intentionally did in this offseason is working. They intentionally did that. They put defense at a higher priority. And what's happening? They are executing upon that. And the team is winning, and they are leading the league in defense, really. You don't mess with that.
And Higgy has not been hit. I mean, the catching position has not been hitting overall, but Higgy's been pretty bad. But I don't see a scenario in which the Yankees take him off the roster either. So
No.
Rortvedt doesn't make who cares? Like Rortvedt was
nobody cares.
piece.
Nobody cares. Half the people have forgotten his name.
I haven't. I'll never forget.
Look, man, I've said this before, and I truly mean it. Like, I really don't care about the catcher production. As long as you play good defense, offensive production.
Do you know why you don't care about it?
Because the rest of the team is filthy. That's
Yes,
why.
Because the rest of the team is performing. If 1 through 8 wasn't hitting, we'd be like, well, the catching's also not hitting. Like, this is bullshit. What are we doing here?
Then fix the rest of your team, which they have done. But that's the whole point. When you have the other guys, strategically placed and working off of each other, skill set wise, you have them staggered through the lineup. Then again, like anything you get offensive from the catcher is gravy. Their primary job and duty is to take care of the pitching staff and to play good defense. Primary, that's it. That is anything you get offensively to me is gravy.
So I talked about this with Brian Kenny, by the way. Episode was posted earlier this morning with Brian Kenny. I recorded it Friday before the Royals series. Really awesome to talk to. I know he's been on the show a couple times, but you were the one who had talked to him. So yeah. It's been a few years since he got back on, and I was, very pumped to talk about him. I've been watching Brian Kenny on, baseball analysis all the way back to Baseball Tonight and all that stuff. So
he's got some polarizing takes. There's no doubt about it. People
I think
love to hate Brian Kenny sometimes, but
after this,
he's really interesting, and he speaks with conviction. There's no doubt.
He also has, in talking to him, he's kind of admitted that things have been taken too far in the league, and he's like, too many times people just aren't using their eyeballs. Like how with Joey Gallo, the shredder, which is the thing you talked to him last time when Didi was not even ranked in the shredder and he's lighting up the scoreboard. And Joey Gallo was ranked #1 left fielder in baseball, according to the shredder. And Brian Kenny's this year. This year, Brian Kenny didn't personally rank Joey Gallo even in the top 10. And he's like, because I use my eyes and he has horrific at-bats. So I'm sorry, just because he runs into 30 home runs does not make him a top 10 left fielder. And I'm like, thank you. Thank you for admitting that. Thank you for looking past the spreadsheet and using your eyes, because this is still something you have to watch humans play, and you can see what they're good and what they're bad at and where the deficiencies are. And it doesn't mean Joey Gallo's useless, but let's not overrate him just because certain metrics are saying something.
Barrel percentage is the one that threw me for a loop when I'm hearing more about barrel percentage and how that stat could be definitely exploited in whichever way you want. That's one of those funky ones that he will be very high on. But yeah, no, honestly, dude, like this may not be a popular take, but when Joey Gallo got pulled on Saturday with the look like left groin was not feeling great, and he's day-to-day, like a pretty true day-to-day, it seems that he's going to be back in the game. He was out today, but I wouldn't be surprised if he's playing in Toronto. They have not made any moves, and Andujar was sent back down with Clark Schmidt, but when that injury popped up,
because the rosters are...
No, I know, but when that injury popped up, and Andujar was still there, part of me was expecting to see like an 10-day IL, and Andujar stays up for the Toronto series. Thought that might actually be the case. And when I saw that scenario, I'm like, I don't actually hate that. I actually think this team might be better with Miguel Andujar in the lineup, to be honest.
Well, I don't know.
And he got a couple hits yesterday too.
He did, but that's completely punting your left field defense.
He's not as bad as you think he is. He plays a fine left field.
He doesn't.
He doesn't kill you.
He does.
He doesn't. He has proved that.
But he does. No, he's bad.
Go point at your defensive analytics and let's.
It's not even that. It's just he's not a defensive player.
No, he's not. He's not a defensive player. But again, in left field, unless you're talking about like a very difficult left field, it's not that hard. It's just not that hard of a position.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you're saying Joey Gallo limping around out there, is Miguel Andujar better? Sure, I'll grant you that.
Or do the at-bats like Joey Gallo hasn't played the greatest left field this year either. That was part of the reasons why.
He's been horrible. He's been their worst player. He's been their worst player. So absolutely.
So you get a Miguel Andujar there who can play like, a league average maybe a little under average defense on left field, but what does that swing just above average and then below average give you in left field? Like, does it really make that much of a difference? I would argue that no, but his at-bats are just so much better.
I just remember the reason why I was going to refer to the Brian Kenny podcast is because when you were talking about the Yankees defensive catching and they made that a priority this offseason, Brian Kenny, I talked to him about what the Yankees did at catcher removing Sanchez, and he's like, yeah, I just look at the Rays and what they've done with the catching position over the past decade, and it's like you don't even know who these players are, and you're scratching your head, why are they bringing these players in? Oh, it's because they can frame, and they can play defense behind the plate, and that's all we care about.
Yes. Please make this a long-term thing in the New York Yankees organization. Yes, this is so very true and right.
Every now and again, you're going to have a cornerstone catcher come along.
Yes,
right?
Few and far between, though. That is
yes.
Probably the most premium position to have someone like that in. It's the most difficult to have.
Especially now where offensive catchers are very rare. And if that comes around, then yes, of course, you stick with that because it's so valuable. We thought it was going to be Gary Sanchez, and it didn't turn out to be Gary Sanchez. So they needed to move on. They moved on too late, and as we discussed, but they finally moved on.
But that's the reason they stayed with him for so long, is because if you can possibly get that prolific offensive catcher back and still have some defensive prowess behind the plate, I'm using like scouting combine words, but it's a unicorn. You have to see that through as long as you possibly can. And if you are to pass up on it too early and they go somewhere else and show that they have those offensive skills still, then you're going to get raked. So that's part of, like, I understand it's like catnip. It's hard to pass up.
32-33. All right, so some numbers behind the Yankees and their winning streak. The offense has been awesome. Stanton, 348 during the streak with 2 homers. Judge, 320 with 3 homers. IKF, your boy, hitting 350. Even Glaber getting into the action, 348 with a dinger. Rizzo, 333, 4 home runs. It's just like when he started off Friday's game with another home run, I'm like, okay, Anthony freaking Rizzo, here we go again. And LeMahieu hitting 303. It would probably be more like 350 if he didn't go over. I think he went over on Saturday night, and that plummeted his average. But the key guys in the offense, all those that I just listed, have been carrying it.
Yeah, it's good to see. I mean, when you see that many hot guys that are hot, that's awesome. Rizzo's been unbelievable, worldly so far this year, and Glaber's not making a ton of noise on the offensive side, but he's having much better at bats. You see over the last 9 games, like, there's consistency there for him getting back, and he's making defensive blunders. He will always make defensive blunders, but he's not killing the Yankees with the offensive side, and hopefully that can take him over the
offensive side.
Hopefully that can take him over the hump for his entire game. Give him a little bit more of a confidence. And again, like, he's going up against the Blue Jays. He's making Aaron Boone's decisions that much more difficult when you have a streak like this and you're starting to pick the bat up and play well, because Boone does have a decision with LeMahieu and where he's going to play on a day-to-day basis.
Because what name didn't I mention there?
Donaldson.
Josh Donaldson.
For a reason.
Right. So the move is when Donaldson's out, you move DJ over to third. But if we're just talking about who's the better second baseman, it's not even a choice. So I'm going to pick a couple nits here. I know you wanted to hold this till
you're going to pick a couple nits? I've never heard it reversed that way.
Picking nits?
I've heard nitpicking, but I've never heard anybody say they're going to pick nits.
Okay. Anyway, where have I heard that?
I don't think it's ever been said in the English language, to be honest.
I've definitely heard that, and I just can't think of where I've heard it. Picking nits.
Nitpicking.
Nitpicking.
Yeah, but I don't know if anybody's ever picked a nit.
Someone tell me where I don't know. Anyway, the Glaber play on Friday night when he's trying to run down Witt Jr. It's like, dude, what are you doing? Just get rid of the ball. Witt Jr.'s fast. You're not fast. He made you look silly, and Glaber's so lucky that Witt Jr. just overslid the bag, because that could have actually potentially been a big inning. The Royals ended up scoring later in that inning, but if he's safe at third, which he was, he just overslid, then that's even bigger of an inning. The play is like you just got to get rid of it after you take 2 steps. Cortez picks him off second, throws it to Glaber covering the bag. 2 steps, Glaber knows he's going to be beat, but he still tried to chase him down. And you got to get rid of the ball.
And that, I mean, that's Little League stuff too. When you're running a guy towards the base he's going to, you get rid of it early so that he can be stopped. You're not trying to chase it down. So this goes back to instincts with Glaber, and they're just lacking.
They're missing.
When he's in the field, when he's on the base path, there is a disconnect sometimes with him and what is fundamental and should be instinctual from a baseball player at the professional level. There's just some of that's cloudy for him. Hopefully, as time and reps and more, and he's only been playing baseball for, 18 years of his life. But as he goes on further, hopefully they are drilled in. But yeah, he lacks it for sure.
And then later in the game, not too soon after, he loses a pop-up in the sky. Now, that could have just been a fluke. Like, you lose a pop-up, you lose a pop-up. It happens to everyone. But part of me is like, well, is he thinking about that play that he messed up earlier?
No, he's not thinking about the play in the middle of a pop-up.
Why?
It's just that because that doesn't happen in real time.
Not legitimately in the middle of a pop-up, but
he just misplayed the ball, which is again part of instincts that you have in the field. And just like
the snowball,
it was swirling,
it's the snowball effect with Glaber that he when one thing goes wrong, it derails his game. He can't block it out and put it behind him and make a good play the next play. No, he has to mess up the next play because he just messed up a play. That's how Glaber plays.
But also mechanically, it was sloppy. It's sloppy mechanics and footwork in order to get to a ball like that too, to make adjustments. So it's both.
All right, one more nit.
But he's been good in the field. But he's been good at the plate. He's been good at the plate, and he's not killing them right now. You make plays like that against Toronto, they are in a spotlight.
Sure. You can't lose division games. It's much more important. And then it's like if the division comes down to a game or two, which I still think it's going to, do you point to those individual plays throughout the season that you botched and potentially lost to the Blue Jays? One more picking nits to pick. The Rizzo trying to steal third base. So thrown out.
I know you hate this.
I hate this because there's just no upside. There's 2 outs. There's a left-handed batter up, and you're trying to steal third, and you're out. He did it earlier in the season, and I hated it then, but he was safe. So it's like, okay, you're not going to crush a guy because he was safe. But I'm like, that's just stupid baseball. That is not a smart baseball play. Even if you're Ricky Henderson, I'm sorry, it's not worth it. The upside is not there. 1 out, sure. Even 0 outs, which I know never make the first or the third out at third. 0 outs, I can understand it a little bit more because sac flies can happen. Outs, you can still score. 2 outs, you're running on contact. Don't do it.
Was the last time he stole, were there 2 outs?
Yes, I think so.
The last time. So the 2 out thing, I understand very much so. There really is no upside unless you think that Anthony Rizzo or he thinks that, even on a single, it may be hard for him to score. That may be part of the thinking. I don't know. But what I will say from Rizzo is he's a sneaky base stealer. And even on that one last night, yesterday, he pulled up right before the bag. If he runs through, I don't think he thought the ball was going to get thrown. I don't know. He pulled up for some reason. If he runs all the way through, he's easily safe. And I mean, he almost beat it anyway. But yeah, 2 outs, not the right thing to do. But instinctually on the base path, he had the base stolen. He does have a knack for feeling the game there. I understand.
He had the base stolen.
2 out.
He had the base stolen. Do you know why he wasn't safe?
Because he got the ball beat him there.
Because he's not that fast. Okay,
but again, that's part of no, he's not that fast, and he knows that. That's why he does rely on his
third
instincts.
Base with 2 outs. You can be a good base runner and not be the fastest guy. Actually, there's plenty of good base runners by reading balls. Are they going to fall? All these sorts of things that make you potentially better base runners than fast guys who just run blindly. So I'm not knocking his base running skills. I'm knocking the decision before the pitch is thrown for him to say, "I'm going to try to steal this base."
Yeah. No, it's a tough look with 2 outs because even if you don't think you're fast on second base, you're still jumping at the crack of a bat because there's 2 outs. So you have a step. Any runner on second base with 2 outs should score on a base hit.
Yeah.
You're being sent, no doubt about it every time.
Before we preview,
you should have a good secondary and a good jump off the bat.
I want to preview the Jays in a second, but do you have any thoughts on the Apple TV broadcast on Friday?
It's not good, man. I don't know what to tell you. Someone noted put it on our notes, the probability percentage in the bottom right. I'm like, you know what? I don't want to see that every time. It's so stupid. I don't care.
Were
it's like telling me
specific. probability to hit into a double play here, like 17%. I'm like, well,
it makes my mind melt and it's like seeing the percentages to who's going to win the division in May. Like, I don't give a shit. These percentages mean absolutely nothing. They're so ridiculous. You're just trying to show a metric to act like you're smart. It doesn't mean shit.
So there's
nothing. There's been a month of the season. Like, get out of my face with these percentages of getting on base or hitting into a double play. And any broadcast, real quick, any broadcast that's new, of course we're going to shit on. Like, everybody's going to do that. That is like the first thing you do is you shit on something new like that.
Listen,
because they are not the voices you're used to. They don't see the players play on a daily basis. And in baseball, that is so important to know what you're looking at, like really, really know it.
It was Chris Young was calling it, right? Was Chris Young in there?
I think Chris Young was one of the guys. I don't even know who else was in the booth. I heard like 5 voices.
There was 2 girls and Chris Young. I don't remember the girls' names. Whatever. Sorry.
Katie Nolan wasn't there, was she? I thought she normally does it, but I don't
Nolan.
think she was there for that.
Chris Young, when they did the 4 outfield shift against Gallo, Chris Young was blown away. He's like, I've never seen this before. I'm like, how have you never?
They've been doing it all year.
Joey Gallo's been getting 4 outfield shifted for like 3 years. Have you not watched baseball for 3 years, Chris Young? How have you not seen this? How is this not in the preparation?
Because Chris Young's been trying to make the back end of a roster for 3 years.
Yeah. There was also with the probabilities. I put the note in there at the bottom. It was a 0-0 count on, I forget who was up. It was either IKF or LeMahieu, and it was like 22% to get a hit here. I'm like, but he's hitting 315. So how is it only a 22%? I guess it's in nothing counts. So on first
yes,
pitches.
It is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. So it changes per pitch.
It's just too much. It's just like over. All right, we get it. You have a number for us.
I was just glad. I mean, whatever. It's one time. I know they're going to probably play another Apple TV game at some point, but everyone. It was not a good broadcast, but can everyone just relax a little bit, like, about the broadcast? Like, it's all people talked about all night was how bad the broadcast is.
Look in the mirror. You do the same thing with when Cameron Maybin's there talking about it. Everybody does the same thing when Flaherty and Beltran are calling a game.
Flaherty is like
listen.
Paint drying, okay? But I didn't mention Flaherty once, and I have not mentioned Cameron Maybin on Twitter once this year. I've mentioned him to you guys because I think he's terrible, but I have not mentioned Cameron Maybin on Twitter because people seem to like him, and I don't want to be shamed.
I think he's good, especially with Ruocco. I think that they have a fun dynamic and it's fun. I've been very outspoken. Like, I like it when former players are talking because you hear different nuances that you would not hear normally. So I do like that. This team of people, it's just when you get a broadcast that is not like intimately familiar with your team, it's painful because you're looking at this like every Yankees fan who watches all the games is listening to this and watching this and hearing them are like, I know way more than you about this team and how these guys play. And that's infuriating when you know more than the people talking on air, and it's very clear.
I wonder, they just like broadcast should just hire like consultants, like of fans of the team, pay them a couple $100 to just give them like a page worth of bullet points about the team and like insider talking points.
I mean. They unfortunately what it felt like on Friday listening to that is that they were just reading stats, like consistently just reading stats. And I'm like, okay, the producer put this stat page in front of you. You don't need to just read off of it and then give like a generic reaction to said stat.
Did you see my tweet that I don't want to say it went viral. It did well. People big mad. So I tweeted out as the announcers were like saying how good the Royals-Yankees rivalry was in the 70s, I tweeted out, I don't think anyone who remembers the Royals-Yankees rivalry can find this broadcast. And
on Apple.
The amount of people who are like, I was there for the 1977 ALCS and I found it in no time. Like, dude, relax. It was a fucking joke. Everyone, calm down.
I hope my mom doesn't listen to this part of the show, but yeah, there's not a chance in hell she's finding that broadcast.
My dad didn't know what the hell was going on. My dad's like, where's the game? I'm like, just listen to the radio, Dad. I'm not even going to try and get you on this broadcast. Because I would have had to have I would have had to have him download Apple TV to his TV and then log in with my password. No chance of him getting in before the 5th inning. I was like, just put the radio on.
It's like me being stuck at LaGuardia for and getting there in the 5th inning of the ALCS game. It's tough.
Okay. Let's talk about the Blue Jays series, which I said I'm very excited about. We're going to go over the best game to bet on, and of course, we're using WynnBET to do it. WynnBET is now live in Arizona, Colorado, Indiana, Louisiana, Michigan, New Jersey, New York, Tennessee, and Virginia. They bring the excitement of betting on the floor at the casino to wherever you are in the app. You can sign up today to receive a special offer. You bet $10, you win $200. Download, bet, win, and use code BLUEWIRE when you do so. All right, Scott, what game are we eyeballing for this 3-game series?
There's one game I got to go to. Got to go back to it because I've been talking about how I think it's a difficult matchup for the Blue Jays lineup, and that's nasty Nestor Cortes. I mean, obviously, they've seen him once already. Did have some struggles with him, but again, I think that Nestor is that type of guy where he's going to mix and match and still continue to keep them off balance. The only caveat I have, the only concern that I have is that he's pitching the 3rd game of the series with Montgomery first, who does a similar type of mixing and matching, and then Tyone, who does throw a lot. He throws harder, but he also throws a good amount of pitches that they'll be a little bit more accustomed to not seeing that like dynamic fastball because they're not going to see that throughout here. So They will be making some adjustments, I think, in series, and it won't be as new for that one. But I think Nestor will keep them off balance enough. And Kikuchi's on the other side, and the Yankees have good numbers against him. I like the matchup. So offensively, even if Nestor is got a bit, I think he will limit that damage, and I think the Yankees can get to Kikuchi. So therefore, I'm throwing my cash on that game.
I'm with you. LeMahieu, Torres, Judge, Gallo, IKF, and Hicks have all hit Kikuchi pretty well in the past. And again, this isn't just about what pitcher we think is going to dominate. It's about what game do we think the Yankees are going to win. Like, in our minds, what game do we think they have the best chance? And I love the matchup against Kikuchi. I think the Yankees can feast on him. I don't like them facing Manoah. He's been pitching so well, and he dominated them last time. Manoah, he is 4-0 so far this year with a 1.44 ERA, and he's going up against Taillon. Not that Taillon's been bad, but like if we're just talking pitching matchup, I don't like that in the Yankees' favor. And Monday's game, listen, it's one of those weird things. The Yankees coming off a 9-game win streak, 3 sweeps in a row, and this is a huge game. I think the Blue Jays, it's going to be a packed house probably. It's going to be fired up. It's one of those do you believe in due sort of things. Are the Yankees due for a loss? I still think the Yankees are capable of winning the series, somehow scratching and clawing to 2 wins. But I don't really love the fact that they're coming off the 9 games and then the first game in Toronto with the Blue Jays, who are also playing well, 7-3 in their last 10, fired up. And then in game 2 facing Manoah. So, I'm not saying the Yankees are going to lose 2 out of 3, but if there's one game I think they're going to win, it's the 3rd game.
It's going to be no doubt tonight. There's going to be a lot of adrenaline going, so they have to come out like amped up, ready for this game. I think that's the first 3 innings are going to be, or the first 2 innings really are going to be very important because damn well that Toronto is going to be. I have a feeling they're going to be swinging early. They're going to be trying to jump on Jordan Montgomery. This is not the type of game where they're sitting back and being patient. So if Montgomery is able to locate his off-speed stuff early in tonight's game, I could see him getting a good amount of swings and misses because I think that the Blue Jays players are going to be very aggressive tonight. And this could be if all goes well for them, 3-0 after the first, 3-0 after, 3-4 runs after the first 2 because they're going to be jumping on fastballs. So we'll see how he can locate. We'll see what the game plan is, but there's a lot of like in-game things that are very interesting for this whole series. And I like the fact that Taillon, that middle game is really important for the Yankees and for Taillon because if they do lose this, the game 1, again, coming in with 9-game win streak, not unheard of for them to drop this game. But at the same time, Taillon at that point now is tasked with the ability to, or tasked with the job to get them to a 3rd game that's decisive. And that's a big deal. That's a big pressure game for him. So I'm excited to, whether he wins it or not, like whether they win the first game or not, it's a big game for him to come out there and go up against Manoah, who's also been outspoken. Like he's John at the Yankees as well. So there's some juice going into that game.
Yeah, the last game of that series that they played in New York, where Severino was yelling at the Blue Jays dugout and Manoah was one of the leaders, chirping back. Yeah, a lot of fire between these two teams. I still, if I'm a betting man, which I am going to be betting on the third game, if I'm a betting man, there's going to be a brawl between these two teams this year.
Oh, but yeah, maybe. There's definitely no love lost between these guys, and I love it. I like that a lot.
Sure, and that's why
that makes it so much more fun.
As you're talking about, like, we got to get to a decisive third game, people might be saying it's early May. You're talking about a 3-game series. I don't know. It's like a mini win throughout the season to win 2 out of 3 in Toronto. Like
it's a battle. It's a battle in the war.
I understand. It's like whatever. It's just a win or a loss in the column, but I think it's a huge series.
It is a huge series, and it's one for it's a confidence builder, and every single time they play is a big series. So not to say that the May is bigger than any time else. Like yes, there may be more implications later in the season because there's not as many games to play, but it's still very, very important. Especially like we've said, the AL East is going to be decided with how you play against those opponents, and Baltimore taking care of business. Like you got to come out 500, understanding that if you're going to lose a series here, you got to win the next one, or if you're going to win a series here, you might lose this one. And it's going to probably be closer to 500 than the season series with the Orioles.
Yeah, and I was looking at the schedule. The Yankees obviously are playing the Blue Jays this week, but they don't play Tampa until the end of the month, which is the first time they play them for the season. I always think it's weird how the schedule will just like stack some teams early and then you'll never see them again, or you don't even see a division opponent until almost 2 months into the season.
Yeah, I mean next year that's all gone, right? They're changing everything up.
Yeah.
So.
All right, that's going to do it for today's show. Thank you guys so much for listening. If you have not already checked out the Brian Kenny episode, please do so. I had a ton of fun recording that with him. We will be back again later this week. Oh, we also have a couple voicemail reactions about the 9-game win streak and all the wins that they've had over the past week. So very excited to listen to those. You guys can call up the line 646-480-0342 and submit those mailbag questions at bronxpinstripes.com. We'll talk to you guys in a couple days.
Believe it or not, George isn't at home. Please leave a message at the beep. I must be out before I pick up the phone. Where could I be? Believe it or not, I'm not home.
Cheeseburger here. Same guy as before. New face. New world. Let's get it. After an off day, we're feeling good after a sweep. Got the Yankees fans up right now. But I'll tune back in tonight. See if I'm feeling the same way. Hopefully by the 4th inning, I'm calling in on fire, ready to rock. 6:37 in the morning, and I'm already fired up about tonight. But we'll see. I'll be back. Cheeseburger out.
Hey, Pinstripers, this is Eric from Syracuse, and I know they won Friday, but it was very annoying watching Boone put in 3 relievers, 2 of which I believe had pitched on Thursday, to finish the game on Friday. Nestor only had 82 pitches through 5 innings. He looked fine. I think he's proven enough that he can maybe go 100 pitches next time. Boone, you robot fuck. All right, bye.
Hey, fellas, this is Greg from New York calling, long-time listener. I was listening to you guys back when you all would number off your episodes and corresponded to a player. Pretty sure my first episode was 55, a Matsui episode. Anyway, I'm liking this team. I like the fact they traded Voit, no distractions at first base like you guys talked about. I think once we see how well this pitching staff can keep this consistency going and stay healthy, keep things rolling, I think we might have a nice rotation going into October as long as everybody stays healthy. Sevy looks fantastic. I'm looking forward to the rest of the season. Looking forward to hearing you guys keep the show going. Keep up the good work, fellas. Go Yanks.
Hey, guys. This is Robert down from Knoxville, Tennessee. Hope everything is going well. A couple of sweeps in a row, so I imagine it can't be going too bad. I just wanted to call in. I called a couple weeks ago complaining about Joey Gallo. I probably said some things I shouldn't have. Basically just said I've never hated a Yankee as much as him. And, I don't want to say all is forgiven. The strikeouts are still there somewhat. And the start of his season was just unforgivable. I mean, you can't be that big of an asset and do that badly. But to see him succeed the past couple series has been really refreshing. Got a couple of good, home runs in back-to-back games against the O's, which is huge for him. Team gave him the silent treatment after, which was absolutely perfect on that first one. But just good to see him drive in a couple runs. He got in a couple knocks, a single, a double, I believe, in the series as well. So hopefully things are looking up for Gallo. And things are certainly looking up for the team. IKF, LeMahieu, absolutely crucial to this lineup. They're getting hits. They're keeping the order going. My goodness, Anthony Rizzo. We should probably build him. Just go ahead, start construction in Monument Park so we can have that 48 up by the end of the season, because he is just, he's probably already a top 5 Yankee of all time. But just to see him hit 3 homers in one game, start the series off right against the O's, continue to crush, continue to hit the ball to opposite field, drive in runs. The guy is just an RBI machine. And I think you can make a legitimate case. If he keeps it up, even sort of on this pace, he doesn't even have to keep up this exact pace, but legitimate AL MVP. Contender, he might be in a dark horse.
Hey guys, thanks for listening to the Bronx Pinstripes Show. Make sure you find us on iTunes and subscribe so you can get all new episodes directly onto your phone. If you do like the show, we'd love for you to take a minute and give us a 5-star rating and review in iTunes. It really helps us out and allows us to create more shows. We're on Twitter at Bronx Pinstripes and the same on Facebook. You can always find us there talking Yankee baseball. Thanks again, guys, for your support. Really appreciate it, and go Yankees.